Leadership Summit of the Year. We've held leadership summits throughout the school year once per month. We've had invited guests from the community, and as you see today, we have a wonderful selection of guests for you to coordinate with your career development, okay? My name is Mrs. Gruszka. For anybody that might not know, I'm the media specialist here at Northport K-8. And before we begin any program, we always say our Pledge of Allegiance and our Kids at Hope Pledge. So would you please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here I come up for the Kids at Hope Pledge.
I'm a kid at Hope. I am talented, smart, and capable of success. I have dreams for the future and hope my dreams will goals and dreams every day. All children are capable of success, no exceptions.
Thank you so much. This morning, I would like to talk to you a little bit about what we've been doing this year. I've met with different groups of middle school students, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, all across the school, and we've been talking about leadership and building leadership skills and how to step out of that zone that you might be in, fear or thinking that somebody might be talking about you, and putting yourself out there and just moving yourself ahead a little bit in a good way. So I want to go over with you guys some of the leadership skills that we, which includes you, as a middle school, have come up with. All right? I have them listed up here. And after I go over the list, and after you've heard all of our guest speakers, I would like you to think of one thing that you may add to this list. This is what we have determined as a school, what we think a leader is. A leader must love the people that you lead. Think about that. A leader must be flexible. A leader must be organized. A leader must respect the people. A leader must be capable of seeing the big picture. That means not just the little job at hand, but the big picture, what's best for everyone. A leader gives lots of positive feedback. Ability to delegate. Who knows what delegate means? Anybody want to give it a try? Delegate. Johnny, what's delegate? Nobody has any idea what delegate would mean? Delegate means when someone is a leader and there are jobs to be done, a leader says, I need this done. Would you kindly do this for me? Because it would make everything good. Would you do this for me to make the job better? Would you do this part of the job? Delegate means you divide the jobs up, and when everybody does their job, the whole thing becomes great, right? That's what delegate is. We also, a leader has to have humor, right? There's times in life when things are funny, and you have to accept that, and you make the job better. How about always being a learner? A leader has to be a learner. They never stop learning. They never stop finding out the new things about the job, about where they're working, what to move forward, right? A leader has to have integrity. Having integrity is the most important thing that a human being can have. Integrity means that you're the same when your bedroom door is closed or the door of your house is closed. You're the same as you are when you go to the mall, when you go out to a dance, when you get a job. You're the same. Would you, okay, say, here's an example of integrity. You're going to the mall with a group of kids, and somebody says, you're a really great kid, but somebody says, let's go into Claire's and let's get a pair of earrings and put them in our pocket. Or let's go into someplace where boys would go. And let's take a little thing and put it in their pocket. And then you can be part of our group. Okay? Now, you say to yourself, oh, God, I know this is wrong. If my mother found out, I know I would be in major trouble. If I saw these guys, oh my God, I know that would be the end of my high school career. Because it really could be. It really could be. No. If you're doing the right thing, there's no reason. Absolutely no reason. But integrity means that you have the good thing in you to follow your inner rules, your inner compass that you know is right and wrong, and how to treat people. You do it the same every place you go, everywhere. The mall, the dance, your aunt's house, school, when you get your job. That's what integrity is. And integrity is the most important thing that you can ever have. So you planted that seed of somebody you know that has integrity. If you don't know anybody that has integrity, now's the time to start looking. The next thing, you have to be a good listener to be a leader. If you are a leader and you work from your inside and you know what's right and you have integrity, you're gonna have credibility. They go hand in hand. People might not always agree with the things that you do, but they can respect you. So it all comes into play, boys and girls. And now is the time when we need to start building these skills and making you better people, good people that have, what's that word? Integrity. Okay? So that's what we've been going over this year, leadership skills. Now in front of you, you have leaders from all across the board. All across the board. And they all excel in their fields. And I understand that Ms. Hamblin has been working with you kids on a career project. So I'm going to bring up Ms. Hamblin.
Well, good morning. Welcome. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. They appreciate you. At least I hope they do. So I know in high school it was kind of rough for me doing dual enrollment and not knowing what I wanted to be, because they don't give that opportunity in high school to tell you what kind of careers are out there and how to do them. You know, going into nursing, originally I didn't know there was a nursing program you had to apply to. So it's just kind of hard, you know. So I want to introduce careers to the students. So I was just curious about what they knew. So I asked my first hour what they wanted to be when they grew up. And I got a lot of NBA stars and actresses and even more I don't knows. So what I did was I assigned everyone a different career. Many of you, these are my first hour over here, you guys did not know a lot of them, right? Like the anesthesiologist over here, where is she? Can't find her. Anyway, so they researched and looked up. I told them to look up salaries. I told them to look up how to get into the career, what the career even was, and what job qualifications they needed to have. In the end, they ended up presenting to everyone. And at the end of the whole project, I asked them, is there anyone who changes their mind about what they want to be, or if they want to be one of the things that they presented? And I at least got half the class. And to me, that was a huge accomplishment, and thank you guys for being a part of it. I also have two students that come up and speak about the project, and I'll start with Destiny. No? Kayla? Shelly? Okay. You sure you don't want to come up? Because now I'm looking like a fool.
Okay. So, to begin, my name is Destiny Swain. I'm 13 and adopted. When I get older, I want to be a physician assistant. The funny thing is my project was based on a physician assistant. I learned that physician assistants are the doctor's right-hand man. This job has impacted me in such good ways, and at first I wanted to be a nurse, but with all the persuasive things this amazing person does when being a physician assistant, it persuaded me to become a physician assistant. Now when I get older, my dream is to become a physician assistant and to help not only the doctors, but people in need. I want to thank Ms. Hamblin for helping me follow my dreams and also for being such an amazing teacher.
I want to commend not only our student for doing such a great job, but our first-year teacher. This is her first time in front of the camera, too. So let's give Ms. Hamblin a big... Hard to do that. Hard to do that. And you know what? I'd like to I'm going to let them introduce themselves. They're going to speak for about 4, 5, 6 minutes, and then you kids are going to be able to answer questions, okay?
I'm going to pass the mic on. Well, I don't need a mic because every time I hold a mic in my hand, I start to sing. And, you guys don't want to hear me sing, do you?
Yes.
Well, hey, I'm not going to use the mic because I think saving the battery is more important for our real speaker. Okay, so police officer is a great career. I didn't start off wanting to be a police officer. I wanted to be a football player, an NFL player. And I knew what I had to do to become an NFL player. What I had to do first. Anybody can tell me? School. I had to get my education. There you go. That's the only way you're going to become an NFL player. Because most NFL players, most athletes come out of what? College. They come out of college. So I had to do well. But when I was in high school, I wasn't sure what direction I wanted to go. I wanted to play basketball. I was a baseball player. But then I found myself when I ended up playing football. I had to pick skin. It felt good, you know. And next thing I knew, I got a scholarship. Wow. So I knew my first time away from my parents, and I was playing for the University of Miami. UM. Back before The Rock was The Rock. I played before he came along, but I was playing for UM and got injured. Okay, what am I going to do now? Can't play football anymore. Lost a kidney. What am I going to do? What did I have as a backup? My buddy in the corner there. Wait, what did I have as a backup? What's that? I had an education. There you go. I had an education. That was my backup. That was my foundation. Can you build a house on a foundation that has nothing but sand? No. You got to build a solid foundation. You got to have a concrete, okay? I had built my foundation, and I couldn't play football no more because that was my direct career path. That's what I wanted to do. But guess what? I got hurt. Took my education, came to Port St. Lucie. My mother was living here. I was down and out, didn't want to do anything. I was going around kicking cans, walking around the streets. I was destined to go down that path because we have two paths, right? We have the path, which is very dark. It starts off bright, but at the end it gets very dark because the path becomes very narrow. Then I had the bright path, was to do a career. I didn't get to finish college at the University of Miami, and my mother said, you need to go back to school. I had a strong mother because she had 4 boys, and she was a single parent. Everybody said a single parent home going to always bring problems to the kids. That's a false. My mother was a strong mother, and she said, hey, you will go back to school. And that's what I did. I went back to school and got my degree in criminal justice. Didn't really want to be a cop, you know, but I was thinking about doing fire or working as a rescue. But at the time, that's all was available. But today, you guys got a wide variety of things you could do. Because all this physician assistant schools were not around back in 1985, 1980. aging myself. I'm only 21, so don't worry about it. But it was very limited. And at that time, this area was growing and police were well needed. So I decided to get in law enforcement. And at that time, believe it or not, you had to be over 6 foot tall, over 200 pounds. And they had no women as police officers. Today, see how times have changed? Today, all you need is what? An education. See how it always comes back to that foundation? That solid foundation, it always comes back to that. So that's why it's so important. Because an intelligent person will not end up in what? Jail. 85% of people in jail today, folks, do not have an education. They dropped out of high school, they dropped out of middle school, and some of them have even dropped out of college. With education, you are destined to be successful. The best thing in the world is to be able to pull out a wallet, pull out your purse, have your own money. At any time you want to do something, you can do that. And that is having a career. And this career turned out to be wonderful, because not only that I've been working over 30 years as a police officer, I'm about to retire next year. So. Retirement means you're going to get a paycheck every month of the rest of your life. And now I can live easy. I could do that. Get up in the morning. What am I going to do today? You know what? I'm going back to sleep. Those are the choices you want to be able to make one day, folks. And then we are here to tell you, without that education, you will be a lost soul. When I first started in law enforcement, I used to go to the jail, and the jail was down in Fort Pierce on 2nd Street near the courthouse. They had only 6 beds for women. They had 5 beds for juveniles, and they had 40 beds for adult men. Today, it is both equal. 1,500 beds for women, 1,500 beds for men. Why is that? Young ladies, I don't know what it is, but there's more young ladies getting in trouble than ever before. Again, 85% do not have an education. So you're going to have to make a decision. You want to wonder why I'm dressed this way? Because I'm dressed in a Class A uniform. Whenever we do a presentation and talk, the young men you see in front of you, with the other uniform, that is called our battle gear. So if you want to get bad, we can roll in the dirt. And guess what? When you weigh 250 and 300 pounds, you're not going to win too easy. Especially when a lot of them used to play sports, and they all played at sports. And we were athletes all our lives, and we still have to stay in shape. We have to go to the gym. We got to run. We got to constantly continue our education. The laws are changing constantly. When I first started as a police officer, we have this law book that's called Miami-Dade book. And that book, when I first started, it was the size of a magazine. Now it's the size, if you take two Bibles, you guys know what a Bible looks like. You put 2 Bibles together, that's how thick it is right now. Because you could be arrested for almost anything. So that's why you got to make good choices. That's why this never occurred. I've never seen anything like this where we have to come to a middle school and talk about careers. Things are constantly changing. Things are constantly changing. And you will see that as you grow. You guys look wonderful. The collared shirts, uniformed, well-groomed. I don't smell no odors. Everybody's washed. That's great. That's mean you got caring families, you got caring grandparents. That's wonderful. That's mean you guys are starting down the right path. Again, law enforcement is a great career. And you don't have to do 30 years like I did. You could do 20 years, you could do 25 years, and you still get a retirement. It just depends how fat you want that check to be. So, again, if I had to do it again, I would be a law enforcement officer. Maybe a little bit of the NFL player. But things happen. And you got to have a backup, and you always have an education. As long as you have beautiful people like these young ladies and young men and the faculty here, you are destined to be successful. And you remember, without education, you're guaranteed to be a lost soul. And lost souls are where? Where do lost souls end up?
Jail.
In jail. There you go.
Thank you,
Anybody?
Officer
All
Thomas.
right, thank you.
Before we go on to our next speaker, I want to also introduce the guys that came with Officer Toppin. Officer Garcia.
Good morning, everyone. To touch on what Officer Toppin said, I too wanted to go the athlete way. Played professional baseball for 8 years, got up to AAA with the New York Yankees, and got hurt myself. So now, I'm sorry, my bad. So my career ended in baseball. So now the same thing. Now what am I going to do? Now I got to start a different career. The main thing is I had my education, and that gave me a second plan. So if you want to be, I heard earlier it was mentioned that people want to be athletes, movie stars, go for it. Go for that dream. Don't let anyone stop you. But have a backup plan. And that backup plan starts with the education. It gives you another opportunity. This way, if plan A doesn't work out for whatever reason, at least you have plan B. And it comes down to choices as well. Education and choices. It all comes down to the choices that you make. The people that you hang out with. Remember, some people will be successful, some people will not be. And it all comes down to the choices that you make. All right? So I'm going to take up too much time.
Thank you. Officer Brown. You don't need it?
I don't have any cool sports stories like playing baseball or football. I am a former white belt in karate, taekwondo, you know what I'm saying? So, anyways, the lesson that I want to touch on today is it deals with decision making. I need 3 volunteers. Come on up, young man, young lady, pink. Come on up, and who else? Who else? No, you know what? You come on. All right, these are my 3 volunteers, and I just to tell you about what I used to do. I used to work in the schools. They had some budget cuts. I don't work in the schools anymore. I work in the neighborhood. So if you guys have an emergency at your school, I will be one of the officers that respond here. Okay? One thing I taught, the first thing I told people when I worked in the schools is I introduced myself. My name's Officer Steve Brown with Port St. Lucie Police Department. I've been a police officer for 12 years now. Okay? When I was in the schools, I always took pride in the fact that I could be maybe a big brother or a coach to you guys. But this says police. So when you make a mistake that's really bad and you violate the law, then unfortunately I have to do my job. And what comes with that? Does anybody know what comes with doing a job if you're investigating a crime and you end up putting somebody, what happens? I go where? Wait, what? If we're doing our job, let's say you do something, you take something from somebody or you punch somebody and lump somebody up, and it gets to the point where your school has to call the school resource officer, what ultimately do we have to do?
Lock you up?
Lock you up, right. So what comes after being locked up? You go to jail or you may get notice to appear or whatever, but what follows you for the rest of your life? Yes, sir. A criminal record. Okay. Education, really, really, really important. The thing that I looked at over here was the capable of seeing the big picture. The big picture is your future down the road. Okay? Out of these 3 kids, who's the smartest kid here? What are your grades like now? A, B, C, if you were to rate them? A, B, and C? Who has all A's here? You do? Okay.
No, she got an F.
One F, what's the F?
Guys, I brought up
Yeah, math is hard. Okay, all right. What are your grades like? D's and F's, perfect. I got my, all right, here. Sit down right here. Okay. You'll see. You need to work on your grades, young man. Have a seat right here, okay? All right. Young man, have a seat next to him. Go ahead, have a seat next to him. Young lady. Have a seat right here, okay? You, congratulations, you're the manager of Burger King. All right. This young man, he wants to work. He wants to start making some money. He wants to get in. He's 16 years old. He's sick of bumming money up, bumming rides off of people. He wants a job. He turns in an application. He has a high school education. He's never been in trouble before. What's your name? Jaden. Steve, nice to meet you. What's your name?
Anthony.
Anthony. Steve, nice to meet you. Your name? Jordan. Okay. Anthony, on the other hand, in middle school, got in a fight. He lumped somebody up. Big guy. I mean, you just took him down, no problems, whatever. Then he went on into high school, and he ended up taking something that didn't belong to him at Walmart. There's cameras everywhere. He ended up getting caught. So he has 2 criminal charges against him right now, okay? Or that are in his past, okay? But he does it. Jaden's, he's good. Him, on the other hand, they're applying for the same job. Who are you going to hire? Jaden, and why? Because he has no criminal record. Well, why don't you give him a chance? I mean, he's straightened up for like 6 months. He behaved himself. You don't want to hook him up with a job? You only have one position. Okay, so you don't feel like it's fair to maybe offer him an opportunity to be good or do good? Nah, because you got a boss that's above you. And your decision to hire the right person is on you. So who you hire is going to be a direct reflection of who? You. Right. And your management abilities at Burger King. Okay? So she ends up hiring him. He does a fantastic job. This poor guy has to go turn in another application. He got to go to Mickey D's now. He got to go to Wendy's. But right here, what I showed you guys here is this. You all know how bad decisions can affect you later on down the road. And that's what I wanted to prove. I didn't want to come up here and tell you, don't get in trouble, don't do this, because that's going to go in one ear and out the other. I wanted to show your peers, I wanted to bring up your peers and have them tell you who you would hire. Who, and she's correct, everybody who is in a position to hire somebody is like her. They're in the same predicament where they have to hire the right person. When you guys make decisions, and they're decisions that may affect you long term, what happens is you start if you make bad decisions, you start limiting your abilities to get the education, get the good jobs, and all that. So my job today is to tell you guys, be careful who you hang out with, be safe, make good choices, and try to be a leader in that sense. Your friends, and everybody take a look around. Look at the person next to you on both sides. Take a look around, okay? I could tell you this, there's a very good chance that those people that are sitting by your side will not be in your world when you're 30 years old. But when you're 30, you're going to have good friends from college. You're going to have maybe a wife or a husband. You're going to have children that are going to depend on you to provide for your family. So do what's most important. Make good choices. Thank you for your time. These guys are brave because I have a taser, and they were like, I'll volunteer, and they didn't even know what they're volunteering for. That's my speech. Thank you for allowing me to talk to you all today. Okay.
All right, well, now that my colleagues have taken up all my time, there's not a whole lot for me to say because we have other leaders in the room that would like to get up and speak. My name is Officer Lushbaugh. Like I say, I work for the Port St. Lucie Police Department. I've been here 16 years, been an officer 18 years. And I just want to touch on what Officer Brown was saying, just real quick, because I want to get the other leaders up here. And I really can't speak for their fields. But like Officer Brown said, be a leader, don't be a follower. You all know the difference. You know when somebody's out there trying to lead you down the wrong path. Do the right thing. I want to touch on military and jobs as well. If you have a criminal record in this day and age, you apply for a college. Most state colleges will not even look at you. Some will, some won't, but the majority of them, if you have a criminal record, they're going to go on to the next application. Okay. Same way with the military. We don't have a draft anymore. If you're looking at going into the Marines or the Air Force or Navy or Army, you want to choose that path. They're going to look at your background, your resume. They want quality people. They want leaders. Every job, I'm sure when the next guests get up, they want leaders. Okay, they want good moral characters. They want all the good things in life. Okay, so when the rest of the people get up here and speak to you, you've seen what the police officers have to show you and have offered you. Make good choices, because those choices. And one other thing, being in the schools as a school resource officer, we go on Skyward. You guys all know what Skyward is. It has your grades, your attendance, your discipline. Colleges look at that, okay? They're going to look at all your referrals, all your offenses, all your write-ups, all your attendance, any classes you may skip. Make sure you stay on topic, okay? Because this will affect your future. And as Officer Thompson said, you know, they want leaders and not followers. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so let me turn it over to the rest of the panel.
Thank you so much. Something personal I'd like to tell you about the police officers. I want you to understand that if you are doing the right thing in your life, no matter what anybody else says, if you are doing the right thing and living right, they are your friend. And you will have a friend for life. If you know people that are doing the wrong thing, and they are telling you, no, 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 I want you to know in your heart, they will always, always be there for you. And we need police officers. They're our line in the sand, okay? So you just remember that, and when somebody starts saying something, you always, always revert back to that thought, okay? Now we're going to bring up a nurse. She's going to introduce herself. Ms. Lang.
Good morning, everybody. I recognize a lot of faces here from the clinic, especially the ones that come in a lot. I'm the school health nurse for the state of Florida, and I have 3 schools I'm responsible for, approximately 3,000 kids. And what I do is I visit the schools on a daily basis, depending on what their needs are. A lot of you guys remember, I think you're in 7th grade, so last year you had your screenings when we did your vision screenings, hearing screenings, so that's something that I do as a school health nurse. I went back to school later in life, and that's one thing I want to touch on, is that if you are going to go down your career path, you want to start as soon as possible. Don't wait till I did when I started in my 30s, so it's a lot harder. So you want to graduate high school or take college classes while you're in high school. It's a good idea. I chose nursing because as far as I can remember, I've always been like a caretaker, and I've always worked for doctors, and just decided later it was time to go to school. And I went to school at a good time, because now I hear it's a little more difficult to get into the nursing program. It is a 2-year degree, but it actually took me about 3 years to get an associate's degree in nursing. It's difficult because you have to do a lot of time at the hospitals, but it can be done. You just have to really want to do it. I recently just went back to school and got my bachelor's degree in nursing, and then I'm going to UCF in the fall to work on my master's degree in nursing. Wish I would have done it a long time ago, because it gets difficult the older you get, and plus you start making money younger, which is a good idea. Challenges, I think the biggest challenges in nursing is it does take a certain type of person to be a nurse. You have to deal with a lot of different things. Nursing is about from birth to death, so there's good times, there's bad times, you'll see things that you've never seen, especially if you work like in critical care in a hospital, and sometimes very difficult to handle. So it's very challenging in that respect, but also you work long hours if you work in critical care. You usually work shifts of 12 hours a day, but you usually only have to work 3 days a week to be considered full-time. There's so many different things that you can get into with nursing. Some people get into nursing and don't ever do the hands-on in the hospital. They go into teaching, or they go into, you can keep going, become a nurse practitioner, then you're almost like a doctor. You see patients, you just don't get the money they get, but it's a good career. And And then also, one of the biggest challenges is, Mrs. Gruszka was talking about delegating earlier, and that's a big challenge as a nurse, because in order for you to take care of all your patients, you have to be able to delegate tasks to other people that you work around. So it's, a big thing about time management and delegating, and you need to be able to tell everybody around you that's working with you what to do, things that they can do, that they're safe doing, and that's, I found, was a big challenge. It's very rewarding at times. You're taking care of somebody, you're holding their hand when they're dying, you're, supporting families. And I think out of a lot of careers, this is one that can be very challenging. So that's about it.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. I can attest to being a nurse because my mom has been an emergency room nurse she started off when she was just 18, and my mom is 76 and she's still doing some form of nursing. She does private duty nursing. She's worked every aspect. I became 1 semester away from being a registered nurse, but we turn out the way we turn out. Here we have Ms. Kozak, our fire.
Good morning. How's everyone doing? Good. How many of y'all in here have some sort of idea of what you would like to do for a career? Okay. How many of you absolutely no idea? And it's okay. That's okay to be honest with that. There's no problem with that at all. The one thing I will say is the one thing everyone else has set up here that I'm going to kind of tag in on before I introduce and go a little bit further into myself is education. What I'll say is, as you finish high school or even in high school, if you want to do dual enrollment and then go into college, if you don't know what you want to do, there's still your basic classes that you can do to get out of the way. And then as you kind of experience life a little bit more, you may stumble across something that you really have a passion for. So with that being said, my name is Karen Kozak. I'm with the SLC County Fire District. My path is very varied. I started out as an EMT. I'd always had an interest in the medical field, but I had no idea what. When I was in middle school, early high school, I wanted to be a doctor that worked with the little sick babies, the babies that were born early. And I don't know why, but that was something that really just struck home with me. And then as I got older and into high school, I'm like, okay, when I graduated high school, I did EMT, emergency medical technician. So what I got to do was I went to class a couple of days a week at the college, but then afterwards I got to go ride on the ambulance and the fire trucks. And there was something really, really, really cool and fun about riding on the ambulance and fire trucks going down the road to calls. And something that I noticed along the way was I really enjoyed being in a position to help someone when they needed it the most. When they were in a position to where they didn't know who else to call, they called 911, and then we came out to help. So after I had my EMT, I decided I didn't want to be a doctor to help sick babies anymore. I wanted to go right into the community and make a difference in the community, helping people doing what I was doing. Afterwards, a little bit later, I went on and went through the fire academy. And that was very hard. It was very physically demanding, especially for someone my size, because most firefighters are usually about 6 foot, 200 pounds. And those are the ones that come busting through the doors carrying the charged hose lines. I was able to do it. Okay, so I'm a firefighter paramedic now. And I got hired with SLC County Fire Rescue. I worked 9 years as a firefighter paramedic on the trucks. Absolutely loved the job. I had another opportunity to go to nursing school. So continuing my education wasn't part of the plan, but I took the opportunity and went to nursing school. Now I've worked in the emergency rooms also. And along the way I've also taught at the college, EMT and paramedic, and now I'm back at the fire department as a public educator. So I love what I do. It's very challenging. And the one thing I will say is that as you continue on with your life, education is such a part of that. But the opportunities presented themselves to me. And I pursued those opportunities. Nowhere in my lifetime did I ever wake up thinking I would be a teacher teaching at the college, or I would be able to come back to the fire department and do public education. However, what I will say is when you come up here and you look at these qualities for leadership, this one up here, you must love the people you lead. I love the people I lead, but I also love what I do. There's not a day that I wake up that I'm not happy to go to work and I don't have a true passion for it. So it's something that means a lot to me. And then being flexible, absolutely. Something about being in the health career profession, There's never anything set about coming in and everything's very regimented. Anything you do with public safety or in healthcare, you have to be flexible. You don't know when someone's going to come up to you and there's a real emergency. If someone came up to you and it was someone you loved and they said, I need your help right now, would you drop what you were doing to go help them?
Yeah.
Whether it was a family member or a dear friend, you would drop everything to go help them. And that's what being flexible is all about. And that's what we do, is that we're very flexible and we're going to do everything that we can to help you. And again, respecting your people. You're going to respect the people that you work with, and you're going to respect the people that you're caring for. And again, just carrying that, because when you give respect, you're going to get respect back. And that's something that is so important in our community. I respect my colleagues, the other people that I work with, but at the same time, we share that respect. Whenever we come out to help someone, we give that respect also. And then we get that respect back. So with education, it's an ongoing thing. Basic education, your maths, your Englishes. I have a 2-year degree in emergency medical services. I have a 2-year degree in nursing, but I also have my bachelor's degree also. I'm getting ready to work on my master's. But again, it's just something that's kind of happened with time. The rewards, I think I've already talked about those. I get to help people sometimes when they need it the most. There's not too many jobs in this world to where when someone needs your help the most, that you're welcomed into a stranger's home. How many of y'all would welcome a stranger into your house? Anybody? Let just some stranger in off the street? Hey, come on in. Here's the kitchen. Here's the living room. Come have a seat. There's not too many jobs, and this is the one profession to where people open up the door and they say, come in. I'm happy you're here. This is what's wrong. And to be able to be given that hospitality to go into someone's home or be welcomed into someone's life when they need it the most, that's something that means a lot to me, and that's something I don't take lightly. So integrity is something that's very important at that point. Okay, you have to know who you are when other people are looking at you, and the same decisions you make in private are the same decisions that you would make when someone else is looking at you. Because you're being trusted with someone else's life. And being a good listener. How many of you like having someone that you can just call up on the phone and go, you know what, today was lousy? Do y'all have that person? Yeah? You know, it's kind of nice just having that one person you can kind of go to and go, you know what, today was not a good day. Let me tell you about it. And when you're a leader, you're that listener for that person to be able to make a difference. So with that being said, there are definitely a lot of challenges. You're put on the spot to make decisions that can affect someone else's life or death decisions. You give a certain medication. It could be the medication that either helps them live or could kill them. So you do have to be able to make instant decisions. And there's a lot of stress and a lot of challenges with that. But again, I love what I do. So I look forward to answering your questions, and thank y'all for having me this morning.
Thank you so much. I'd like to introduce our public store manager. Now, this is going to be a real good opportunity to ask questions.
I'm going to try to go without the mic. Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, one of the things I was asked to talk about is why I chose Publix as a career. It's actually quite simple. I didn't do research on the company. I was 14 years old, and my dad was a real estate broker. He had made pretty good money. So when I was 14, he pulled me aside and said, do you want a car when you turn 16? I said, well, yes, sir, thank you. He said, what do you mean, thank you? You better get on your bike and pedal up to Publix and get a job. So originally I came to Publix because I wanted to drive when I was 16. I was about 15 years old. I was cleaning up the back room, and I saw a piece of paper on the floor. It looked kind of important. It looked like something I shouldn't throw away. So when I picked it up and looked at it, it was a check stub from one of the manager's bonus checks. And my eyes just got big like saucers, because I'd never seen a check that big. That day, I went home and I told my dad, you know what? I think I want to be a store manager for Publix, because I didn't realize the earning potential that was there. I graduated high school when I was 17, and shortly thereafter I went full-time. 17, I was a little young, a little immature, so I ended up joining the military. I did 4 years in the military. I was an aviation electronics technician, but it wasn't something I had an aptitude for. I wasn't really good at it. So when I got out of the military, since my dad did so well in real estate, I was going to get my real estate license. Got discharged from the military honorably. Went back to Publix because I was on military leave, so I was working at Publix just to hold me over until I started making millions in real estate. I can tell you that I sat in a real estate office for months and months and months, and I never sold a house. So at that time, I decided, you know what? Instead of chasing this dream, I just need to move forward and make a career with Publix. And I can tell you it's a very rewarding career. Publix has a 401k, which is a retirement account. Publix also gives you stock based on your salary, and there's a lot of other benefits to it. I can tell you that my last store, I had a cashier. She was never a manager. She never even worked in the office. She loved being a cashier. She did the 401k. She got the Publix retirement, and whenever she had an opportunity, she purchased Publix stock. After 35 years with the company, I had a cashier that retired with over $1 million.
Wow.
So that's what kind of opportunities are out there working at Publix. As far as education goes, I would say that mathematics and communication are very, very important skills that will help you be successful with Publix. The benefits are great. I will have 30 years next month, and I can tell you that I don't know how much longer I got, but my retirement is doing very well. But again, you guys have a unique opportunity because it's hard, you know, somebody who's 30, 40 years old to come into Publix and start at $9 an hour. But young, and if you work hard and work your way up, you can make a great career out of it. Some of the challenges that I'm faced with, you know, you got to be flexible. That's one of the things on here. You know, I could go in and have my day all planned out, and then boom, the health inspector comes. That just took 4 hours out of my day. I could have a shoplifter that I have to deal with. I could have a slip and fall. So being flexible is very, very important as a leader. That's an awesome list. I mean, some of that stuff makes me think. I see that list, and I see there's things that I need to work on, even though I've been a leader for Publix for quite a few years. But thank you very much.
Hi. You can hear me all right, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Heather, and I work for New Horizons of the Treasure Coast. You guys know what that is? Okay. It's fun. It's the mental health and substance abuse. My job is a children's program manager, and when Mary Ann asked me to come speak with you, I thought, how am I going to describe what I do? It's hard. I don't really do anything specifically, but I manage everybody who does. So I have about 27 staff. They're case managers, they're therapists, they teach a parenting class, and they work with DCF. So therapists and case managers and the adult ones work with people with mental health illnesses or challenges. My programs are specific to children, so we work with people that might have depression or anxiety or ADHD or some family problems, and they come out to your home and they work with you and they talk to you and they help you with services and resources. So that's kind of my programs. I've been with New Horizons about 15 years, and I have to say I'm a little jealous of you guys. When I was your age, we never talked about what you wanted to do when you were older. So all I knew, and I came from a family that was, you're going to college. So I went to college. I didn't know what I was doing at college. I took the basic classes. I went through and kind of did a lot of things until my junior year in college. And finally I said, you know what? I like helping people. So I picked a degree in psychology. So I got a bachelor's in psychology. I wasn't in a school where they really taught you what you were going to do with that degree. So when I graduated, I went to retail. And I worked in retail for about 5 years. What I did in retail and what I found out about myself was that I like managing. So I moved up through each retail chain that I worked at, and I managed. I really like delegating, I really like directing, I like organizing, and I like helping. So after that, I realized that I got to a job that I worked part-time at a hospital on a unit with mental health adults, mental health illness adults, and I really liked it. So that's when I decided to pick the mental health field. So with New Horizons, I actually used to work out in the field. I would go to the homes, I would see the adults, I had a caseload, and then through there, I worked my way up through management. I've been in management about 10 years now, and I really enjoy it. That list is really great, and it does make you think about a lot of things. I went back to get my master's degree about 4 years ago, and I'm going to support everybody's other comments here. when you go through, go immediately. Don't stop, don't take that break. If you're gonna get your college degree, go get your college degree. Don't take a year off, don't take 5 years off. If you're gonna get your master's, get your master's, okay? Don't stop. It's a lot harder when you're working full-time, you have a family, you have a job. So if you have that option, do it now. Talk to Mary Ann, talk about debt, talk about getting rid of your student loans, because that's also something that you want to try to take care of when you're younger. Regarding my degree, it's a master's in social work. I don't have to be in this field. I could be a therapist. I could be a licensed therapist and get my license, have a private practice. I can be a director of Salvation Army, or work with people, or write grants. So the master's degree and the degree in social work is pretty broad. You can do a lot of different things. I just choose mental health because I like that field. But you can go to a lot of different avenues. When you go into a human services field, which is mine, you know, master's in counseling or degrees in counseling or psychology or social work, it really helps you, if you want to make a career out of it, to go forward and get your master's, get your license, and that opens a lot more doors for you. So like all my staff have bachelor's degree. We don't hire anybody without a degree. Then a lot of my staff are getting their master's or have their master's. Then I have about 10 of them that have their license. So the further you go in school, the further and the more opportunities and doors that open. So that's me.
All right, my name's Amanda Hanks, kind of like Tom Hanks, but I'm not related, so I'm not rich. But has anybody seen or does anybody know what this is? Lego, but a little bit more involved than that. It is a robot. Lego Mindstorms is the latest craze in robotics. Who do you think makes a robot?
You.
Yeah. What is you? What do you think I went to school for?
Engineering.
Thank you. Yeah, you probably saw my name tag. I'm an engineer. So what does it take to be an engineer? I did not know I wanted to be an engineer. So when I graduated high school in West Virginia, all I knew was I wanted to get out of West Virginia. Believe me, I moved to Baltimore, didn't have a car, rode a bus to work, worked 2 jobs for a couple years, thought it was going to be glamorous. I had no money to do anything. Could barely make the rent. So I said, you know what? I need to go to college. My family ran a little construction company in West Virginia. They worked a lot of hours. It was not glamorous, but I thought, you know what? I know how to build things. Maybe I should go to college to be an engineer. So I started college. I had to work 2 jobs to put myself through college because I waited 2 years. So I did not have scholarships. So does everybody know about Bright Future scholarships? Yeah. There's tons of scholarships for you guys to go to college. One of the things in Florida, it's called a Bright Future Scholarship. One of the criteria to get a Bright Future Scholarship to help you go to college is volunteering. Does everybody know about service hours? Volunteer hours? Okay, one of the things I do during the summer when you don't have to go to school, I teach robotics camps and engineering camps to kids. I hire people like you. In fact, Mrs. Warren's son and another student that graduated from Fort Pierce Central are college kids. They come to work for me for the summer. Guess what they get to teach? And video game design. Who likes to play video games? So we will actually teach you how to make your own video game. We use something called Multimedia Fusion 2 or Click Team. But anyway, my whole point is that those kids did their service hours. They got scholarships to go to college. I didn't. I had to work 2 jobs going through college. Don't do that. Go ahead and put in your service hours, get your scholarships, and go straight to college. That's what you're hearing all of us say. We did it the hard way. I did it the hard way. Don't do it the hard way. So what did I do for 20 years after I got out of college? I graduated as a civil engineer. Does anybody know what a civil engineer does? Who takes a shower in the morning? All right. We build all the pipes to get you water for the shower. Who drives to school in the morning? Who travels to school in the morning on a road? Who's ever been to Daytona to cross any of the bridges to get to Daytona Beach? I've built those bridges. If you've gone to Daytona, I've built a bridge that you've driven over to get to Daytona. Who's ever stayed in a hotel? Okay, I built hotels. Who's ever seen the movie Avenger? True story, the very first one. True story. So I worked for Wyndham Hotel in Cleveland. That was one of my jobs. I traveled, got on a plane every week, went to different places. They filmed Avengers on the street where my hotel was in Cleveland. So we had to shut down our hotel that week. So while we renovated our hotel, I got to see them make the film Avenger. So that was one of the cool things we do. Who's ever experienced a hurricane? We're the ones who probably clean up everything after the hurricane, after a flood. Flood in Nashville, Tennessee in 2009 wiped out Opryland. I was the first one on the plane. I went in with a National Guard in a canoe to survey 17 buildings that were flooded. I had 3 months to totally rebuild those 17 buildings. Who likes to blow things up? I've done that. If you like big blow-ups, I've done that. So basically engineers, whether you're electrical, computer, industrial, mechanical, marine, there's 10 different types of engineering. What do? We make your Apple phone, we make your iPod, we make anything to make your life easier. If you want to invent an app, come talk to an engineer. If you want to invent new shoes, come talk to an engineer. What we do is we use math and science and technology. We use them to build things. So pretty cool. So I went to school for 4 years, got a Bachelor in Civil Engineering. Then after 4 years of working, there's a test called a Professional Engineering Test. Has anybody ever seen a set of building plans to build a building? Does anybody know where blueprints are? All right, so after I go to school for 4 years, after I work for 4 years, and after I pass a really hard test, they call you a professional engineer and you get a sign and seal and make those plans. So that's what I do for a living. I design things, I build things, I blow up things, and in the summer, I will hire kids like you to come have fun, because we teach little kids, like 3rd through 5th graders, younger than you. We teach them how to do video games and robotics. So my message is, don't do it the hard way like I did. Get your service hours, apply for every scholarship you can, so you don't have to work all the way through college, and you can come out debt-free and have a lot of fun, and definitely think about engineering. I have traveled everywhere. I've had a lot of fun. So thank you for having us here today.
How many years of schooling does it take to be a police officer?
Well, like when I came a police officer, like I said, things change all the time when it comes down to education. When I became a police officer, only thing was required was a high school diploma. But today now, they require you to have at least 2 years of college and at least 10 months in the police academy. So it basically comes down to about 3 years in college. It's required for you to become a police officer. But then again, just like Officer Brown demonstrated, if you have 2 applicants, you got 1 job, you got 2 applicants, one with a 2-year college degree and the other one with a 4-year college degree, who would you pick to be a police officer?
4 years.
The one with the 4-year degree. That's why education is so important, because it comes down to a battle. Okay, who has the best credential, who has the most education, and that's who the employer is going to hire.
Thank you. And we're going to move on to the nurse. Is it okay if they ask you questions about other types of medical field, like a doctor or anything like that? Okay. Yeah, I got one right now.
Okay, so for physician assistant, how many years of college do you have to go through?
I'm not sure. I have a friend that just went through that, but she was a nurse first. I think it's about, like 4 years?
Yeah, it's going to be right around 4 years.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? No questions about the medical field?
What do you have to do to become a doctor?
Yeah, a lot of school. That I don't know exactly, but I know it's like, what, 7 years?
Yeah, what you're going to have to do first is you'll graduate, you'll go into a college, do your pre-med degree, and a lot of that's focused on like biology, so your sciences and your maths. And then once you finish that 4-year bachelor's degree, then you'll apply to med school.
And usually med school is going to average about 6 years. And then that'll include the additional schooling and then your residency on top of that. What's that?
You have to be a little bit older to do it.
Starting out, you're on the right path now, you're thinking about it, so as you get into college, you can do dual enrollment, start knocking out your basic classes, and then when you go to college, any college, just do biology degree, chemistry degree, pre-med degree, and that's about 4 years. So you're heading in the right direction, yeah.
Make sure to stand up, okay, and speak into the microphone.
Any other questions for our medical department?
Do you do one degree at a time? Like bachelor's and master's and that stuff?
That's a very good question, yes. How it starts out is some degrees are set up where you can go in and do a 4-year bachelor's degree, and that'll include kind of like your 2-year AS or AA degree, and you go right into your bachelor's degree, and that's 4 years. And then once you have that 4 years done for your bachelor's, your master's that you choose to do can be somewhere between 1 year to 2 years, depending on your master's degree.
I have one from a student. How many years do you have to study to be a nurse?
It takes about 3 years. It's 2 years of, 1 year of like general education, and then the 2 years of the nursing program.
Okay. Any other medical questions? Okay, I'm gonna move on to the Publix manager. Any questions for our Publix manager?
When you work in Publix, do you lose all your benefits, but they give you the benefits in Publix? What? Like, let's just say you have benefits right now, then you come to work in Publix, do you lose it, and they give you like different benefits?
Well, there's different benefits based on full-time, part-time status, based on the number of hours you work. Even our part-time associates have benefits. If you average 1,500 hours a year, you're entitled to health insurance, which is a huge benefit that you don't hear of part-time associates being eligible for. Also, we have profit sharing where after your first year, if you've worked at least 1,000 hours, you're entitled to a quarterly inventory bonus based on the performance of the store. You can participate in the 401k after 6 months once you're 18 years old. That allows you to put up to 10% of your salary into a retirement account. Publix will match 1.5%. Then if you work at least 1,000 hours, Publix will also put, it varies, but the last 2 years, they put 8.5% of your salary into a retirement account in Publix stock. If you add that all together, that's about 20%. So in 5 years, you could have already saved an entire year's worth of salary into a retirement account. And that doesn't include if public stock increases in value. So it's very, very good benefits.
So I don't know how old you have to be in order to work at Publix.
14 is the minimum age. At that age, there's a lot of work restrictions. You can only work, 2 hours on a school day, maybe 6-8 hours on a weekend. But yeah, 14 is the youngest, and that's when I started.
How many hours do you work a week?
I do about 50 a week. Publix is a challenging job because, we work a lot of nights, we work a lot of weekends, and work a lot of holidays. I can tell you, it kept me away from these guys when I was in high school because all my friends were getting in trouble when I was working. So.
How many years does it take to become a manager?
What's that?
How many years does it take to become a manager?
It depends on your job performance. It depends on, if you work hard and you put an honest day's work in and you're really good taking care of the customers. But it also depends on opportunities. I can tell you that due to the performance of our stock, we've got people that are retiring. And every time somebody retires, that creates an opening. We're opening a new store tomorrow, and that creates a tremendous amount of openings because we have to staff a new store. So, becoming a manager is up to you and up to the opportunities available.
What's minimum wage? I mean, like, how much do you pay, like, a 15-year-old if they're working at Publix?
It depends on, you know, how well the interview went. We look at the application. Obviously, a 15-year-old's not going to have a whole lot of work experience, but Publix, we start above minimum wage.
How many applications do you have to fill out?
Fill out, it's one application. Generally takes a half hour to 45 minutes. And then what you need to do, I suggest, is don't just fill out the application and sit by your phone and expect a phone call. I suggest you go into the store, talk to the, you know, at 14 and 15, you're going to want to talk with the customer service manager because that's the only department you can work at that age. And then you just keep it active every 30 days.
I have two questions. The first one's easy. Which Publix do you work at?
Right down the street, Prima Vista and US 1.
And then the second question, well, do you have to have certain grades to work at Publix or like be a manager?
To be a manager,
Or just work there?
I can tell you that your grades come first. If I have an associate who's struggling in the school, I would definitely reduce those hours so that they can focus on the most important thing. And at your age, the most important thing is your education.
Okay, one more.
I've put out like maybe at least 4 applications to Winn-Dixie, and I did what you did. I went and talked to people, but I still haven't heard nothing yet. I'm still trying to get work right now.
Do Publix.
Yeah, do Publix, trust me.
I live in Fort Pierce. The closest thing to me is Winn-Dixie.
We'll move to Fort Pierce.
Yeah. we have 2 Publixes in Fort Pierce. We have, you know, both of them are on US 1. But, you know, if you put your application in and you've gone in there and had conversations with the managers, then you're on the right path.
Horizons, does anybody have questions for her? Nick?
Does the kids drive you crazy sometimes?
No, maybe my staff sometimes, but not the kids. The kids are great. They're great.
Ms. Hamblin, can I add something to that? Guys, I used to work for Heather Roberts, and so at the end of the day, part of her job is to listen to all of our grief as we've absorbed everybody else's grief. And I think a very incredible thing about Miss Roberts and a very needed asset to a lot of careers is she has a wonderful sense of humor. So at the end of the worst day, she's got a way of making her staff laugh and realize tomorrow's another day and we'll try again. And I just want to thank her for that.
What does it take to be a psychologist for the graduates?
We actually don't have psychologists. That's a great question. The psychologists I know work for the school system, and it's a different program and a different degree. Psychologists do a lot of testing and a lot of interacting with like school children or adults that need certain kinds of testing to kind of lead where maybe IQs, stuff like that. Ours are psychiatrists, and that's a medical degree and also a specialty in the field of psychiatry. But we also have ARNPs on staff as well that prescribe medication and see adults. But yeah, we don't have the psychologist piece.
Any other questions? Makai?
You got it? Go ahead.
How old do you have to be to work at New Horizons?
That's a really good question. I'm trying to think of the youngest that we have. We have a lot of volunteers, and they have to be 16. I think, I honestly, I couldn't answer you. My youngest staff, they come out of college because they have to have bachelors, so they're usually around 21. We have a couple from interns that just graduated from IRCC, but the techs on the units might be younger.
Any other questions?
Do you model cars?
A mechanical engineer is typically the one who does the cars. I'm a civil, so I'm not, other than the robotics. I've changed my own transmission before, I work on cars, but not professionally.
I have 3 more questions because we're running out of time.
mechanical engineers, do you guys make your own cars?
That is. I'm a civil engineer, but yes, a mechanical engineer, and they also go to school for 4 years. They get a bachelor in mechanical engineering.
Have you ever made or seen a robot that can interact with humans?
Yes, AI, they call that artificial intelligence, and it is coming, facial recognition, yes.
Are you guys making a new console for a game?
We are not making new consoles for games because it's very competitive, but we are using the latest software already developed, such as ClickTeam. ClickTeam does Mario Brothers, and we always use the latest version. The latest version, I think, came out in March, a month ago. So we use existing software.
How hard is it to make like a game?
So a video game, we can teach you how to make a video game in about 12 hours. You come to camp Monday through Friday, 3 hours a day. You start with a completely blank screen, nothing on it. By Friday, you've got your own video game with sound and levels, and you decide the health of your enemy. You decide if you're going to put in turrets. Yeah, all that.
We do want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. We appreciate you. Obviously, you have a future in front of you, and we appreciate you giving your wealth of knowledge as well. I'm going to add just one thing to what's already been said, and I apologize in advance it's already been said, but my best advice to you is something that was given to me a long time ago, and we've heard it said, and is again, find something that you love. Find something that you love to do, and find a way to make a living doing it. Because if you love what you do, it won't seem like work every single day. And all the teachers that you see in the room here, we love kids. We love being with kids. And that's why we are with you every single day, because we love you, we love being with you, and we definitely love that. Again, the professionals you see in front, they found something that they love doing, and that love is exactly why they're so successful doing it. And this is exactly why they are here talking to you today. So we definitely want to appreciate them. Let's give them one round of applause again. Thank you so much. And I believe at this time, anything else, Mr. Gruszka? Oh, we need a picture, but...